I focus on myself, and when this Turki Alalshikh match happens, we are ready with all the German fans, all the Kurdish fans. Wait for the fight with Usyk. Let's do it.
I think Rico deserves a rematch, immediate rematch. And I'm someone that wants to see Kabayel fight, but if I'm Usyk, hey, drop the WBC belt, fight Rico for the other two versions of your title, and then turn around if you beat Rico and fight Kabayel.
After a historic clash at the Pyramid of Giza, Turki Alalshikh clearly said Agit Kabayel will fight Usyk, and then, potentially, a rematch with Rico Verhoeven. Kabayel knows Verhoeven could pose a scheduling issue for his own plans, but he remains steadfast in his pursuit of a championship bout.
Are you worried that a rematch might get in the way of your plans to fight Usyk?
Yeah, this is why it's a little bit problem, but I'm the #1 contender. This was only the show match, First about Kabayel, and after we can talk for any other things. This was a different, but I cannot give prediction. I'm very bad for give prediction in the future. But yeah, I see everything good, my coach, and we a little bit have a good tactic. We will see when the fight coming.
Looking into more options, Michael Bisping says Tyson Fury wants to fight Usyk for a trilogy as unfinished business hangs over him. The competitive fire, the desire to prove he can beat the one man who has had his number twice. That's what's dragging Fury back for a third time.
Of course, these guys have fought before. They have fought twice, and Tyson Fury was beaten twice. So why they're fighting the third time, I have no idea. But no man alive, get used to that again. It's coming back for this video. No man alive, born of a woman, can beat my son, right?
My son cannot be beat!
Except Usyk did, okay? And Francis Ngannou nearly did. And again, I'm not talking Tyson Fury, I'm having a laugh because you guys have missed a no man alive. Anyway, so Tyson Fury versus Oleksandr Usyk is going to go down again because Tyson Fury claims that he just wants a fair shout.
I don't want any favours. I want a fair fight and a fair result, which I believe and I know I didn't.
Furthermore, Bisping breaks it down simply for both men. The motivation is there, the money is enormous, and when looking at how close both fights actually were, this trilogy was always going to happen eventually.
And he's going to fight Usyk for a third time. Right, so why are they doing this? Well, first of all, think about it. A payday. This will be a gigantic payday because Usyk's beaten him once, he's beaten him twice, and in his mind, he's the better boxer. He's got his number. And to be fair, you start to develop a pattern. You beat him once, you beat him twice, why can't you beat him 3 times? Now, granted, they were a split decision and a unanimous decision, but they weren't runaways, and the fights were so close that Fury doesn't sound crazy to say that he was robbed on the judges' scorecards, right? So for Usyk, it's great. Who knows what he's going to get paid? Probably something like 100 million quid, something like that, which is about $130 million, an insane amount of money. Then again, of course, they're going to do it at Wembley Stadium in the UK, and of course, Tyson Fury is British, and it'll be a phenomenal fight for all the British fans.
While Bisping sees the trilogy happening, Chris Mannix argues that Verhoeven deserves an immediate rematch. He suggests that Usyk should drop the WBC belt and face Verhoeven again, whether Usyk at 39 years old has finally reached the end of his prime, questioning if this performance marks a permanent decline for the boxing superstar.
You could fight Usyk maybe in Istanbul. That's what Turki Alalshikh was talking about. Win perhaps more comprehensively, and then fight Kabayel in 2027. I agree with Team Kabayel. They shouldn't have to wait any longer. They've been waiting. Mauricio Sulaiman, the president of WBC, said on our podcast that Kabayel was next. After the Rico fight, Kabayel was the next man up. So he deserves to either get the Usyk fight or to be elevated to full champion. I think Usyk should allow Kabayel to be elevated to champion. Fight Rico again in a rematch. Maybe do it in Holland, as Turki Alalshikh suggested.
And now, WBC President Sulaiman has made the situation crystal clear. Kabayel is the mandatory and next in line, but Rico isn't being pushed aside either. The WBC has made sure of that, and the door remains open for Verhoeven to come back for what many feel he deserves.
Will you sanction a rematch?
Absolutely yes, but Kabayel is a mandatory contender.
Right.
I believe the right thing would be Rico is going to get ranked for sure by the WBC, and he deserves to fight again for the world title.
Will that be top 10, top 15? Where would you say?
I don't know. That's a matter of the ratings committee, but I would say top.
So will Kabayel be ordered before a rematch, or
No,
what are the rules with that?
Kabayel is a mandatory contender. and he is next for Usyk.
Yet on the controversy itself, Sulaiman stood firmly behind the referee, arguing that in the heat of the moment, that split-second judgment call comes down to one thing only, and no amount of public opinion changes what the man in the ring saw in Rico's eyes at that moment.
There's only one person who can see the eyes of the fighter. There's only one person who can evaluate the moment. It's very easy to say from far away or from television or from different angles with the drama that is happening. But the referee has the obligation to stop the fight, even if it's 1 second by the end of the round or the fight, like Chavez Taylor. The life is in the hands of a referee, the life of the boxer. So I support Mike Tyson. I'm very proud of him. And whatever he saw, made him stop the fight.
Despite Sulaiman defending the referee, Showbiz the adult wasn't having any of it, and honestly, a lot of fans felt the same way. The bell had gone, the round was done, and Rico still got stopped. For Showbiz, that's not a judgment call. That's just wrong, and no amount of official backing is going to change what everyone saw with their own eyes that night.
Game, set, match. You stopped the fight after the bell rang? The bell rang!
The bell rang! What are you gonna do? I don't know, the bell rang!
Game of fact. Worst stoppage ever. Now, there may have been other stoppages after the bell rang, but what makes this the worst? Because number one, it was for the heavyweight championship, the lineal championship at that. But number two, it is at the most historic location in boxing history. That is not even an argument, because there is no more historic place on the planet than the pyramids. Okay?
And that's what really got Showbiz fired up. Rico was hurt, everyone could see that, but this was a man who had been going to war all night, taking Usyk's best shots and refusing to go away. After everything Rico showed in those 11 rounds, Showbiz argued he deserved at least 10 more seconds to prove he could survive it. That stoppage didn't protect Rico, it robbed him, and Showbiz made sure the whole boxing world heard exactly how he felt about it.
As far as the stoppage itself, was Rico hurt? Yeah. Should he have continued? Yes. Why? Because he survived the round. Does that mean he would have survived the 12th? I don't know. That's why you don't stop it. Rico has been known to have great heart and take kicks to the head and be hurt and come back because he's such a warrior. That's actually a part of his brand and what he is. So you give him a minute to recover, he probably would have survived the 12th. But who knows? On top of that, I thought Rico was winning the fight.
And coming from someone who knows Usyk better than almost anyone, ex-promoter Alex Krassyuk's words hit differently. He called this the toughest fight of Usyk's entire career. Tougher even than the close calls against Tony Bellew, Derek Chisora, and the others. Krassyuk admitted he saw it coming too, recognizing something in Rico early on that went beyond skill, the mental strength, the character, the stone-cold nerve of a man capable of pulling off a miracle.
This was the toughest fight of his career. And I had this prediction, unfortunately, unfortunately, doesn't matter. I had this prediction for myself. I saw Rico, I saw his potential, his energy, how strong mentally he is. He has the balls made of stone. And that's what I felt, that it's not about skills, it's about the character. So this guy is capable of doing an upset. He's capable of realizing a miracle. And that's why I felt I was looking that it's going to be something extremely risky for Usyk.
With that, Krassyuk didn't stop there. He came out strongly and said what many are now thinking but few are willing to say. Usyk should consider retirement now. Family, health, business, all of it matters more than what comes next, whether that's Kabayel, Wilder, or anyone else the division can throw at him. For someone who has been by Usyk's side through it all, that advice carries more weight than any pundit's opinion ever could.
I'll be fair with you. If I was there to advise him, his next opponent would be his wife, Katerina, his daughter Maria, his daughter Lisa, and his sons. his family matters, maybe his business issues. That's what he has to take care of now. He has to stop. It's better to leave 1 hour before than 2 minutes after. Unfortunately, this is the truth. It concerns not just boxing, it concerns every single thing.
And the controversy didn't stop at the stoppage either. Boxing analyst Wade Plemons pointed out that despite what many felt was Rico's dominance, the open scoring cards through 8 rounds came back even, a result he didn't hesitate to label as outright corrupt. For him, that scorecard told you everything you needed to know long before the stoppage ever became the talking point.
They've alerted us that there's open scoring in the venue and the fight is even, and that was through 8 rounds. Through 8 rounds, I had it 6-2. They were saying the fight was even through 8. Folks, the robbery was in. I'm sorry. There was no shot in hell that fight was even through 8 rounds. It wasn't even through 10 rounds. I had it 7-3 going into the 11th round. And again, I'm not the orbiter of judging scoring, but that seemed pretty clear to me. That Usyk was getting beat. Even when Usyk won a round, Rico would come back and get the next one. Like, this was not a clear-cut, toss-up decision. No. If this fight goes into the 12th and somehow Rico survives, because I'll be honest, I don't think he would have survived the 12th.
However, for Wade, the scorecard was just more evidence of a much bigger problem he used the whole night to question the very legitimacy of professional boxing itself, going as far as saying the sport is on life support. Corrupt officiating, suspect sanctioning, questionable decisions at the highest level, this wasn't just a bad night, it was proof that the foundations of the sport are crumbling from the inside.
And one of the reasons boxing gets the moniker of the most corrupt sport in the world. It's stuff like this. And it'll keep happening until someone decides to approach fights with a little bit of integrity, dude. But that's all I got, man. I can't believe this. I can't believe it. This is the worst stoppage in boxing history. Rico Verhoeven robbed. I know that we use that term a lot. I am so serious when I mean he was robbed of a potential victory versus a pound-for-pound number 1 or 2 fighter in the entire sport.
Moreover, for Boxing Gio, the Rico stoppage was just the latest example of everything wrong with the sport. He came out and called boxing disgusting and fake, pointing to the inconsistent judging and poor officiating that keep robbing fighters of their moments and their legitimate chances to pull off upsets. Rico had his story, the crowd was invested, the drama was building, and then one decision stripped it all away.
And then we find out the scorecards are a bunch of BS too, where only one person in a fight like that, only one judge had Rico winning by 1 round. And then the other 2 of the 3 judges had it even. And Usyk was losing. I get it. Usyk's a legend, gold medalist, kind of a likable guy. I am very feel, right? I'm good with all that. But boxing continues to rob people of their important stories.
Beyond that, Boxing Gio further said Rico had a chance to create one of those moments the sport lives for, and it was taken away before the story could finish writing itself. He paid a heartfelt tribute to Rico's late mother along the way, but the message underneath it all was clear. Boxing keeps robbing fighters of their glory moments, and for Gio, that night was just the latest example of a sport that still has a lot to answer for.
That might be your special moment, and he had an opportunity to dethrone a very popular pound-for-pound fighter, potentially, and now it's like Kanye West said, what would they do if I didn't win? I guess we'll never know. Now it's one of them. I guess we'll never know the true outcome, but rest in peace to Rico's mom. You conducted yourself well, and you had a great performance. I thought you were winning the fight despite the knockdown, and I think she would have been proud. But boxing is truly a disgusting sport because they rob people of these type of stories and glory moments.
And Dave Coldwell echoed those exact concerns. He noticed Usyk looking older and less sharp than usual, and for a smaller man carrying the physical toll of competing at heavyweight, that observation carries serious weight. Father Time catches up with everyone eventually, and Coldwell is starting to wonder whether the relentless demands of the heavyweight division are finally beginning to take their toll on the greatest fighter of his generation.
You've also got to say, I said in interviews I've said on my socials quite a while now, I don't want to see, I'm a big Usyk fan, I don't want to see Usyk fight again because I feel as though time's catching up on him, fall time's catching up on him, and people say, oh, he looks as good as what. No, time can catch you just like that. He's had a lot of hard fights, even at cruiserweight, but as a small man in the heavyweight division, that's a lot of wear and tear on you. And I felt when I saw him in the ring in the introductions, I was watching it with my son and my missus, and I said, he actually looks quite a bit softer than normal. He looked a bit more fleshy in it.
On the other hand, Coldwell was equally full of praise for Rico. He argued that that wraps things up, and ultimately this is a clash of elite boxing technique against raw physical strength and cross-discipline experience. One side brings years of refined skill at the top level, while the other carries size, power, and the unpredictability of a different combat sport background. It's exactly the kind of matchup that divides opinion across fight fans everywhere. Now the question is yours. Who would you back in this one? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fight analysis.
It's a very difficult because we did this with Ngannou. You know, and Ngannou's a bad man in MMA and everything. Do you know what I mean? He put that amazing fight with Tyson Fury. But what's he managed to do since? You know, you've got some good domestic heavyweights around. You know, you've got fighters in the States that you got your Jared Andersons, your people like that. That sort of like middle chasing pack maybe.
Meanwhile, coming back to Showbiz, who said Usyk was always going to run through this heavyweight division because in an era of big, slow giants, Usyk brought something nobody had seen in years. Lateral movement, sharp angles, fast hands, punches in bunches. While everyone else was just big, Usyk was boxing. And when Usyk beat Fury twice, Showbiz saw it as the ultimate proof of everything he had been saying. Same height, same reach, same weight as Muhammad Ali, and destroying the division the same way. The heavyweight landscape was never going to be the same once Usyk arrived.
I've been saying this about Usyk, all right? First of all, I told you guys that Usyk would take care of Tyson Fury. He'll beat Tyson Fury and run through the heavyweight division today because he can move. He's a heavyweight who can move. The heavyweight division turned into these big, giant guys who weren't mobile. And Usyk, he has lateral movement, back and forth. He has angles, throw punches in bunches, fast hands. He's going to destroy the heavyweight division as it was with these heavyweights who are just big. Maybe, you know, some IQ, some technique, but just not enough to beat a guy who has great movement.
Now, Kabayel will be next in line for the WBC, whose belt Usyk defended today in a controversial, far tougher than expected win over Verhoeven. The WBC also has the next mandatory order in the carousel of sanctioning bodies, ahead of the IBF and WBA, whose belts Usyk also holds but were not defended today. He's twice been the undisputed heavyweight champion and twice given up belts in those situations to take more lucrative bouts. And the question that closes everything out is the one nobody wants to say out loud at 39 years old. Is this the beginning of the end for Usyk? That performance left people talking, and not entirely for the right reasons. For a man who has looked untouchable for the better part of a decade, any sign of decline gets magnified under the brightest lights. And that night in Egypt gave the doubters just enough to work with. The conversation has started, and it isn't going away anytime soon.
We're going to get into this much more broadly on the podcast. Does Usyk continue? Does his career continue after this? He's 39 years old. He has been in some tough fights over his career. Some good fights with AJ, with Fury, with Dubois, with Chisora, not to even mention the wars that he was in the cruiserweight division. Father time comes for all fighters. Some were able to stave it off longer than others. Usyk is one of them. But if this was a bad night for Usyk, okay, fine. He can keep going. But if this was kind of the inflection point where we now look at Usyk as being maybe a more faded version of his best self.
And that wraps up today's video on one of the most controversial nights in recent boxing history. Usyk walks away with the win, but the debate around that stoppage is nowhere near finished. For Rico, this wasn't the end of the story. The heart he showed under those pyramids has earned him the right to come back, and the boxing world will be watching when he does. As for Usyk, the heavyweight division is lining up and the next chapter of his legacy is already being written. Kabayel is waiting, Fury wants his trilogy, and Wilder's name keeps coming up. Whoever gets that fight next is stepping into the ring with the most complete heavyweight on the planet. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our fight coverage, reactions, and predictions. Thank you for watching, fight fans.